Hey guys, how are you? I'm Clint with Burromax. Today we're going to be showing you how to install a upgrade kit in one of our TT1600s, as well as some of the parts that are going to come with the kit and some of the tools that you're going to need in order to install that. So as you come up, first thing you're going to see, this is a new charger port. This charger port goes with our new 10 amp battery chargers. You don't have to have a 10 amp battery charger for this kit to work. But if you do want to upgrade and charge your bike in half the time, you can do that. You're also going to receive a new upgraded controller, a new brake bracket, a new chain for your kit, a new throttle set. You're going to get a new rear shock with a new rear shock bolt that you will need to use for the bottom eyelet on this shock. You're also going to get a new axle spacer. This is an aluminum axle spacer that you will need to use with your new aluminum upgrade kit. You're also going to get a new kickstand to go along with it and a new kickstand bolt. This is the new swing arm and our new big boy 2.5 kW motor. And these are some of the tools that you're going to need for this installation. You're going to need an extended Phillips head screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, a poker tool. You're going to want a metric Allen wrench set. You're going to need a 14, 13, and a 10 millimeter open-ended wrench, along with a 10 millimeter socket wrench, and a pair of needle noses and a pair of wire cutters. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove the rear seat, or we're going to remove the seat, and then we're going to actually remove the body panel itself. We got two screws that come off back here. Your rear seat will pop right off. We've got 4 screws for the body panel. And your USB plug. So next thing you're going to want to grab your 17 millimeter socket and your 14 millimeter wrench. We're going to take the swing arm loose. We're going to loosen the bolt. We're going to take loose our shock bolts. Pull that out, put it off to the side, push out your bolt. All right, so after you have gotten your shock bolt loose, we're going to come over and we're actually going to want to take off the brake caliper. So we will take off for the time being. Give this a pull, it'll pull right out. You'll want to bring your caliper through the frame and let it sit right here. At this point, what we're going to do is we're going to actually take our battery out of our electrical box right here so that we don't have any issues with sparking or an arc or any of that kind of stuff while we're working on our bike. So you've got 2 screws to take out your battery bracket here. There will be 2 stainless screws that you will need to take out. Once they come out, you will set them off to the side and you can slide your battery right out of its tray. Now guys, it's safe to work on your bike. We're going to move and we're going to take off the top cover because we're going to have to take the controller off of the bike. Once you have the 4 bolts out, you can pull the top cover off of the bike so that we can access the electrical connector for the motor. So after you have gotten the top off of the motor box, you're going to want to separate the top of this, take off the black cover, and we are going to want to separate all of our motor connectors. Now this is an 8 millimeter socket wrench that I'm using to take these off. After you have those wires separated, what we'd like to do is we're going to go through and we're going to unplug your connectors for your controller so that we can take your motor wire off. You have the top of the box off. You're going to want to remove some of these electronics before you put your new stuff in. So to start with, we're going to remove your horn. You got 2 bolts to take off the horn. So once the horn is removed, we will simply unplug the horn from the rest of the wire bundle. and we will take it off. Next, you'll want to take out the bolts that actually hold your controller down. There's 4. You'll use the same 3mm Allen wrench. Once your 4 bolts that are holding your controller are out, you can simply lift the controller out while unplugging the rest of your connections. Once you get the swing arm nut off, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the bolt and we're going to take off the entire swing arm as one piece. The whole thing will come off all together. Give it a little lift while pushing on the bolt. Slide your bolt right out and your swing arm will come right off. In order to take this wheel off, you're going to need your 17mm socket and a 14mm wrench. You're going to want to just pop out the axle bolt. Move the tire forward a little bit to get the chain loose and slide your tire right out, guys. Next step that we have is we're going to actually prep our new swing arm to put on the bike. There are a few steps that we need to do before we actually install it in the bike. And the first thing you're going to want to do is put your new kickstand on, because it is much easier now than it will be later. Get a couple threads started. Use your 17mm socket. Get it nice and snug. You're going to want to take your kickstand spring and your long screwdriver, preferably a Phillips head. You're going to want to take the short end of the spring and place it on your loop here. And you're going to want to take your screwdriver, place it through the loop. You're going to want to come down with it onto the kickstand. And as you get to it, rotate slightly for it to clear and pop out your screwdriver. Now that you have the new swing arm all prepped and ready to be installed on the bike, we're going to go ahead and throw it on there and start getting the rest of the bike ready to go. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to move that brake line just slightly out of the way. And you're going to want to take your swing arm bolt, everything up, get it pushed through, take your nut, reinstall it. Now, we did include some Loctite for you in your kit. On your swing arm bolt, you're going to want to put a liberal amount, just like that right there. We will put the axle bolt back on, 17mm. So now that we have the swing arm installed on the bike, we're going to want to take our mud guard from our other swing arm and install it on this one. And that's it. So now we're going to install your new shock into the new swing arm on your bike. First couple things you're going to want to do is we need to set your rebound and your dampening adjustments. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go all the way to one side with each one of them. And then you're going to want to turn back 9 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That sets everything perfectly in the middle and will allow you to adjust it according to how you would like to ride the bike. The other thing that you're going to need, we do have 2 different shock bolts for this. This one is the shock bolt that originally came with your bike and your other swing arm. And this black one is one that is included with the kit. It will be the lower swing arm bolt. So while we're installing, we're going to want to take the sleeve, insert it through the shock eye. And once it's on this other side, we'll thread the bolt in. Once you have that in, we'll move down to the bottom. And push it through. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and install our rear wheel back into this swing arm. So with this kit, you did get a new bracket. This is a brake bracket. Just insert it through the wheel. This spacer comes with your kit. You do have to use this spacer on the right-hand side of the bike. You have to take your other spacer out. It's made of steel. This is an aluminum spacer and won't dig into your new aluminum swing arm. Now we're through. And we can go ahead and partially tighten this nut. Just get it where it's slightly snug. Okay, so now we're going to install your chain that was also included with your swing arm kit. You definitely are going to need to use the chain that came with the kit, as it is a longer swing arm, and you will need that chain in order for it to work. The other part about this is you always want to bring your master link in from the inside to the outside. All right, so with the clip, you want to start on the front loop and you want to go to the rear loop. Always go from the front to the back of the bike and lock it in. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do our chain adjustment on this. We're going to make sure that everything is nice and even and that our chain is properly adjusted. So these are your chain slack adjusters right here. And we're going to make sure that we go turn for turn and make sure that they're nice and even here. We're going to measure them afterwards and make sure that they're in the right spots. Okay guys, now that we have that adjusted, we're going to make sure that our tension is correct. So we've got about a 1/4 inch of play right here and we're snug up top. So we can button that up. Take your 17mm socket wrench, put a little pressure on your chain here and give it a... So after the axle bolt is tightened up, you're going to want to go back and tighten up your jam nut. So we will make sure that our adjuster nut is completely backed up against our plate. We will throw one 10mm wrench here and then the other one will go here and we will tighten this up. Now you don't want to tighten too much, just snug is good. Right there. We'll wrap up the other side. So now we're going to put your brake caliper back on with our nearly finished rear end. Just slide it on. Once they're both in, you can hit them. So with this new swing arm kit, the original brake cable mount for the swing arm will need to come off, and you will need to just replace it with a zip tie that we have included in your kit. Just make a small loop, cut off the excess. With your new swing arm, you also got a new chain guard to go along with it. I'm going to show you how to put it together. A couple of bolts that you'll have inside your kit are going to go with this. So you're going to need to take this bracket here and this bracket here will go along with your chain guard itself. We're going to slide that there. Take this bolt, pre-insert it into this top hole. We will take one of our rounded Allen wrench bolts, insert it through, take your lock washer, put that on right there. We will do the same here. We will take our lock washer with our pre-provided screw, tighten it down right here. Now it's pre-installed and ready to get put on the bike. All right, so now we're going to show you how to install your chain guard that came along with your kit into your bike. Now, you will receive this chain guard in your kit, but you are also able to use the stock chain guard with this kit also that you originally had on your bike. Now, when installing this, you just kind of want to push it up to it, and then you want to have just a slight push through. It'll pop right through. And we'll take this nut, this bolt, and we will tighten it into here and snug it down. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take off your old throttle and grip and we're going to put on the new ones that you received with your kit. The first thing you're going to want to do is take a razor blade or X-Acto knife. You're just going to want to put a slit down through this half grip that you have on here. Make sure that you cut it all the way through. And then you can just take it right off. We'll do the same thing on this side. Just make sure that you have cut it all the way through. Come right off. Once you have that off, you can take off your throttle. On this side, you can leave everything on. You want to take your new throttle, slide it onto the end of your handlebars, take your 3mm Allen wrench, and you will tighten up the bolt that's on the back side of your throttle. Once it's snug, we can move on to the other side. Now this side, you will like to use probably a little bit of soap and water to slide on this grip itself. Now your grips are on. We can tighten everything back up and move on to the next step. So what we got to do now is we need to replace our charging port with the new charging port that you're going to get for this kit. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to flip your charging cover out of the way, and while holding, there's a little nut on the back side of this. While holding the nut flat and in place, you're going to want to take out your screws. Once you have those loose, you'll pull it right out. You're going to want to take your new one, slide it right in. Make sure you have everything nice and lined up. You're going to take your first screw, put it in. You're still holding those nuts nice and flush on the back side so that they don't fall through. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten up the first one. I can feel it starting to tighten up. Same thing with the bottom one. Once those are snug, we can move on to the next piece. So on this charger, the reason why you want to use this one, number one, you can still use this with the charger that came with the bike. However, with this new upgrade kit, we also do have a new charger. It's a 10 amp charger, and it charges your bike in about half the time. This charging port right here that we just installed will allow you to use that charger. Before we install our controller into our bike, we do need to take it off of the plate that it's on in order to fit some of the controller down and actually tighten it to the battery box. So you'll take out the 3 Allen head cap screws that are holding that one down. We will come over to the bike. The first thing you're going to want to do is move some of these wires just slightly out of the way. And you're going to want to take your base plate. And it is pre-cut out for all of the things that are inside of your box. So it should fit in nice and snug. Now you want to take your 4 plate mounting screws that come with your kit. You'll end up with 4 of them. These are going to secure your controller plate onto the bike. Sometimes you will have to hold the plastic from the bottom up just a tad bit so it actually grabs the screw. Once we have our plate installed, we can go ahead and put our controller back in. So you're going to want to bring it and just slide it back into place. We will take the 3 socket head cap screws that we used to unmount it and mount it back down. Now we will start moving our wires into position, getting everything situated and where it's going to sit. Now that we have the controller mounted back down, we're going to go ahead and put our horn in its new spot on this controller plate right here. So you want to take the horn that we had taken off earlier, and you just want to put it right back onto this, and it has its 2 mounting holes. So now that we have the horn installed and the controller is put back in the bike, we're going to start working on how to hook all these connections up that you see here. Where we're going to start is we're going to start with your side lights. Now your side lights have these heat shrinks and they have these extra circuit boards on them. So there's two. And you want to make sure that we get these plugged into the correct wires, or else we can actually short them out. You're looking for the yellow and black wires that are marked with side light on them. You just want to plug it right on in. Now these are all male-female connectors, so you will have trouble putting them on the wrong way. Same thing, this has a side light marker on it. We'll plug that in right there. Both of these can just sit right back in here. Now, this is your actual side light switch. The original side light switch is located here on your bike. The access point is this fake Allen head cap screw right here. So you'll take its switch, go through, and we're actually going to just plug it in right there. And that will sit right here on the bike, guys. Next, we're going to take our charging wire. So the charging port that we installed earlier needs to feed through the bike into the top section. You'll bring it through and you'll hook your connector up just like that. Once it's through, you can actually feed it back down through the bike and it will sit right in here just like that. Next thing to do would be to take your horn. You want to take the connector for your horn. You want to bring it across, and we are looking for the green connector for it. The green connector is marked horn, so you'll just want to make sure you get it plugged in right here, and we'll lay it nice and flat. The next one that we'll move to is our key switch. So our key switch is actually located on the back side of the box. It has a white connector head to it. It's a 3-wire pin, and it is right here. So we'll take our key switch and we'll plug that in just like that. Now this is your save or sport mode switch, and it will connect to a little yellow switch right here. It is S mode. You'll want to plug it in right here. I like to go through the front and plug it in right here. There we go. And tuck it in right there. Now, there are going to be a few wires that you're actually going to have come from your controller out through the front part of your box. Now, this wire right here, this one has a purple and a black wire. This is what we call our learning wire. When these two are plugged into each other, your motor will do a run. It will run forward and it will run in reverse. It basically runs the timing of your motor. We've already pre-done this, so you don't have to do this. We heat shrink this so that you don't have to put it back together unless you have an issue with your bike and you need it to get home on a one-time run. You can plug it in, let your bike relearn itself, just so you can limp it home, and then we can figure out what you got going on. The next wire that you're going to need to have out through the front, so this is your actual programming plug. So it's a 4-wire plug. Really, unless we're doing a new program on your bike, you don't have anything that you would need this plug for, but it does need to sit outside. This plug right here is actually for your throttle. When we're programming, we have to have this unplugged to program, and when we're done programming for your throttle to read correctly, you want to make sure that these two are plugged in. So if you're ever having an issue with your throttle not working properly, make sure that your plug is plugged in. This last wire here, this is going to be for your voltage, your voltage gauge right here, and we'll pop all 3 of these wires out through the top. There is a little slot for you to keep these wires nice and tight and hidden so they can pop out through the top of your box. Just like that, guys. So next, what you're going to want to do, we got 2 wires left. So we actually have our brake light wire that we're going to need to run towards the back of the bike. So you actually want to run it through here. You want to go over your shock mount bar right here. You want to go over, and then you just want to run this wire right here to the back, and we'll end up putting a zip tie right here and securing it to the bike. Then you're going to want to take this wire. This is your throttle. This is your throttle controller wire. This is how your bike gets information from your throttle on what it needs to do. You're going to want to take it. Make sure that you line these up. These are keyed, so they only fit in one way. You do not want to twist these connectors. These are straight push in only. So you line up your two arrows, give it a nice push, and it's seated properly. So this wire is going to come with your kit also. This wire actually goes from your battery into your new controller. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to hook it in here. And then you're going to want to just slide it down through this square slot that we have. And it'll fit right down into here. And it'll come out right there. And that's the wire that we're going to use for your battery when we put it back in there. Now that we have all the wires for the controller and the battery buttoned up, we're going to go through and we're going to hook your motor up to your controller. So we're going to be putting in your main 3 power wires for the motor, and then your hall wires that are connected through a male-female connector. The first thing you're going to want to do is we have all of these color coded so that you cannot plug these wires into the wrong one. So yellow, of course, is going to go to yellow. We'll get it screwed in there. Alrighty, those are all in there. So what we want to do now is we want to take our hall wires and we want to go to the front of the controller, and they have a 6-pin slot that they fit into. Just push it down till you hear it click in. So what we're doing here is I'm taking the wires from the motor and I'm taking the hall wire from the motor also. And there's a slot on the back of the battery box right here. And we just want to fit these wires down into that little slot. Take you a zip tie. And make sure you're on the outside of it. You just want to cinch those wires together right here on the outside. It keeps everything nice and neat and doesn't have a bulge right here on the top of your box. Now that we have all the electronics up top taken care of, what we're going to want to do is we're going to actually want to just plug your battery back in. Now when you first plug it in, you might see a slight pop or spark from it. That's just the capacitors inside the controller charging up. Once we have that plugged in, what you're going to want to do is just kind of give the battery a rotate. You're going to want to slide that part in while tucking this into here, and your battery should slide right into your casing. Once the battery is inside, you want to take your bracket, take your battery cover, place it back on there. Just get them snug. You don't have to tighten them up too much. So another real quick thing that we want to go over. So after you have done and put all your electronics on, gotten the controller hooked up, and you've hooked up your throttle to everything, what we're going to want to do is I just want to show you that there are 2 different modes for this throttle. So the first mode that you have is a 2-speed mode. So what you're going to do is when you're in 2-speed mode, you're going to have modes 1 and 2. Every time you hit the button and it gets to 2, it'll reset to 1. 2 speeds keeps your battery nice and easy, just a real good cruising speed for that one. When you want to get into a mode where you can really show off to people, you're going to want to come right here. So your sport mode button is now your 3-speed mode button. So now when your S is on, you have 1, 2, and 3 speeds. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to throw the battery box top back on top of this. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and put this body back on and then the seat right afterwards. So on the body, what you're going to want to do is just give these a little bend outwards. You're going to want to come up top, make sure that the fronts flare out around the wiring, and then push down right there on the front. It'll slide right in. You want to take your 4 Allen wrench cap screws, You want to start at the front of the body and get these mounted down first. Then you can move to the rear. Don't forget to plug in your tail light. Make sure that that's plugged in. Get that one down. We're going to put the seat back on, so you want to grab your Allen wrench cap screw and your 5mm Allen wrench to put it back on. So a couple last things that we're going to need to do. This right here is actually your programming port. Now this one you won't ever have to use unless you get your programmer and you need to change anything specific on your bike. This one we're actually just going to take and we're going to just move it right underneath and tuck it right there. And then we're going to take this. This wire is your USB, so you can charge your phone while you're out riding. Just plug that in. We'll tuck it in there also. And that's going to be it, guys. I hope you enjoy your very, very fast Burromax and have a great afternoon.